Billie Eilish is arguably the most famous singer in the world right now, and has cultivated her own signature style through her unique sound and incredible talent. There are a lot of things you can say about Billie Eilish. Obviously, you can say that she's an incredible singer, but something that honestly is very different about Billie Eilish is that she doesn't look or dress like typical female singers. And to many people out there, this is actually a problem. A recent photo of her in more standard female attire has caused the internet to go crazy in the worst way possible. We will see how she reacted to all that trolls. But before that, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe to watch more videos like this. Let's get started. Before we dive into the viral photo of her, we need to clarify some things that when you talk about Billie Eilish, the one thing you honestly don't talk about a lot is her body. Not just because she's only recently turned 18, but because she intentionally wears a lot of baggy clothing that covers her up and thus doesn't show anything of her body outside of her hands, feet, and obviously head. This is of course something else for various female singers like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and more who love to stylize while also showing off some skin to give their fans and media something to talk about. But for Billie, she takes the opposite approach, and has been that way since long before she was famous. She prefers to cover up her body because she's still very self-conscious. She doesn't want to be judged for her looks, and that's why she goes crazy at times with the hairstyles, her nails, and of course, her baggy and huge outfits that she wears. And that's a very wise position to take on this matter because we've all seen women, and yes, men as well, go very far in order to try and get that perfect body type. And yet Billie doesn't want that. She'd rather be judged on herself than what people think of her beauty. Sadly, this isn't what happened recently in the viral photo. Now, to be clear, this incident is hardly the first time that Billie Eilish has been body shamed. In fact, she shared the video of her on vacation once in a bikini that obviously exposed some skin, and she got major backlash from it from trolls saying she was dressing too provocatively. The other time that really got attention though was at a concert where she decided to be true with her fans who have supported her, and that she took off her oversized shirt to show her body and prove that she wouldn't be body shaming people. And then she got body shamed by people and trolled by evil people. This brings us to now, because while Billie Eilish was trying to go and live her life and dressing in a tank top and shorts, a paparazzi photo snapped a picture of her at an angle that honestly didn't do her any favors. This got found on the internet, and one particular troll decided to say, in 10 months, Billie Eilish has developed a mid-30s wine mom body. Sadly, this wasn't the only troll who decided to shame on Billie's situation, because another person on Twitter decided to say that Eilish was obese and listed all the things that obesity can cause, and that he hopes this causes her to change her diet and lifestyle. The camera angle is just making her look a certain way. What's more, well, obesity is honestly a problem that grips the world and the United States in general. It's not this person's place to go and say Billie needs to lose weight. Or else, she's her own person and a very responsible young woman. Again, she's 18. What does all this mean that we're looking at her body and judging her, and yet she's not even old enough to drink alcohol? And yet she needs a lifestyle change because one random photographer takes a photo of her that isn't showing her supermodel form? How does that work? She's never had that form, and if you ask her, she doesn't want it. So why do people continually judge her for her body? Billie has never been afraid to be vocal on various things, including her body, and she's made multiple statements in the past about how she feels about people shaming her body. Remember that concert where she took off her giant shirt to show off that body shaming is evil? That demonstration came with a speech, and the speech goes like this. Some people hate what I wear. Some people praise it. Some people use it to shame others. Some people use it to shame me. But I feel you watching. So while I feel your stares, your disapproval, or your sigh of relief, and if I lived by them, I'd never be able to move. If I wear what is comfortable, I'm not a woman. If I shed the layers, I'm a slut. You've never seen my body, yet you still judge it, and judge me for it. Let's be really honest with ourselves for a second. We live in a world that glorifies the perfect body, and both men and women are at times pushed to the limits and go beyond to make sure that they truly look perfect for everything that they do. Because to have a regular body is just enough in the eyes of the world. Because if you look at the average person, they have a regular body, yet those kind of bodies, or with slightly more than average bodies in terms of weight, decide to go and judge people for their own bodies. How does that work? If you think we're blowing this out of proportion, turn on your TV and look at the various commercials for ads and products. How many of them honestly show regular people? especially when they're advertising things like beauty products or workout materials and so on and so forth. The desire to have the perfect body is so personified in our culture that we're willing to overlook the flaws in order to show it. Or how about movies and TV shows? Yes, while some shows do have people who have regular or even overweight frames, there are just as many people cast just because they're hot that they can bring in the views for the eye candy appeal alone. It's a harsh truth, but it's there. People don't just want to look at regular people when they're watching shows or movies. They want to look at something more pleasing to them. And it shows the times with casting, including times where certain casting is done based on looks alone, and not accurate to the source material or even cultural prevalence. And let's not forget brands like Victoria's Secret, who pride themselves on having the most beautiful women in the world and parade them around for TV specials. So when you add all this up, you get a culture that is obsessed with certain people having a great body shape that it apparently leads us to go after people like Billie Eilish. If you really want to go back and see just how much Billie hates being judged for her body, you need to go a little bit back in time when Billie did a short film about her body. Basically, she's shown stripping down to her bra, all while being in some water, and her voice narrates about how she wonders if her body parts are provocative enough for you. That very vulnerable video proves the point perfectly as to why body shaming is terrible. She's a young woman trying to make her way in the world and be praised for her voice and tracks. And here she is being called too fat, not hot enough, or in this case of that vacation photo, too provocative. How does that make any sense? What really sells this though is that you really have to focus on the narration itself. You're gonna hear the pain that Billie has in her voice when she says it all. She hates being judged by her looks, and yet that's all certain people seem to care about. Not that she's a Grammy Award winning artist, not that she's redefined the singing genre in her own way, not that she's a cover artist for the next James Bond film, which has been delayed many times due to the pandemic, and we're really mad about that, but we digress. But rather that this 18-year-old child has a body that some people don't like or think is a wine body. How is that fair to believe? It's not. Here is another angle of this that really ticks us off. If you were to walk down the street of your hometown and you were to see an 18 to 20-year-old woman, and if they had a similar look to Billie Eilish or she didn't have the supermodel body, would you judge them? We honestly doubt it for most of you, but if someone does that, then they are a terrible person, and they should be ashamed of what they're doing. Anyway, please continue to rally against body shaming so that one day the only thing that Billie Eilish will have to worry about or be concerned with is making her next track and wondering what people will think of it rather than how she looks as she sings it. And there you have it, a look at Billie Eilish in the recent events that have more than likely gone and put her in a different spotlight whether she wanted it to or not. What do you think of all that went on with this photo? Do you think that the internet went over the line with the shaming of Billie? Do you think that she went too far in trying to stop the trolls from harassing her? Do you think we'll ever get to the point where shaming like this won't happen again? Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.